Welcome back to another episode of the Sad Dad Games podcast. My name is Eric.
I'm Shan.
And I'm Emerlie.
All right, and as you know, it's a Thursday and I'm talking, so it's an episode of Eric's Indie Corner. Yay, hooray, we all love Eric's Indie Corner. And the game that we're going to be talking about today is... Drum roll, please.
Eric,
snare drum.
I shouldn't have to specify.
All right, well, Grapple Dog is the game that we're talking about. We're talking about a super cool game called Grapple Dog. Grapple Dog is a 2D level-based platformer, and it was solo developed by a super cool person named James Gibbon. Wow, did I just...
That was a normal name.
James? It was a James. I messed up the name James.
You're the dumbest boy in school.
I'm the dumbest boy in school. Oh no, oh no, oh no. So Grapple Dog solo developed by James Gibbon, and it released originally February 10th, 2022, and other notable games from the studio is Grapple Dogs, which is the sequel to this game.
So it's like Predator and Predators.
Yeah, that's a little too close. Well, they did the same thing with the Alien movies. It's Alien and Aliens. Like, I was getting together with my little brother and my older brother, and I was like, oh, we should watch Aliens, because I had recently watched the first one, but I haven't seen the second one yet.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen the second one yet, and I've heard it's amazing, and everyone's like, it's the best movie ever, so I really want to watch it. And we get there, and then my youngest brother's like, all right, so let's watch it. And he didn't know it was a sequel, and so we're like getting ready to watch it. I was like, yeah, I watched the first one. I'm really excited. He's like, oh, it's not the first one. I was like, if they had just named these movies normally, right. Alien and Alien 2, this wouldn't be an issue right now. And I wouldn't have got all excited. But we watched Hacksaw Ridge instead, and that was also a very cool movie, so it worked out okay.
Well, you heard the story about how James Cameron pitched this. So Ridley Scott had done the first movie, Alien, and some years later, James Cameron's like, apparently... it's probably romanticized. I don't believe anything that anybody says, especially after all these. It's romanticized as shit, especially after so many decades. But the story goes that James Cameron walked into the studio and all he did was write Alien on the. Well, they said whiteboard, but I guess at this point it would be a chalk. And he just like looks over, and then the
whole room erupted into
I was thinking
thunderous
the same
applause.
thing.
Yeah, and then he got the.
He's a genius.
He didn't say anything, and he got the, and he made. I'm like, yeah, right.
That's so
Nobody
dramatic.
That must be 100% true. I can't imagine that playing out any other way.
Yeah, but James Cameron does get like a blank check for literally everything he does. He has, I think, the highest gross total to his name in history.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, most of the movies are absolute shit, but Aliens is one of the greatest movies ever made. Because he wrote off Ridley Scott's back, you know.
Yeah, I think that I agree. Alien. I haven't seen the second one, but I really like the first Alien. But yeah, I have a hard time with like. I don't know if I should say this on the internet. I'm not sure if people will applaud me or hate me.
What,
but
Titanic?
I don't like Avatar. I don't like it.
Nobody likes Avatar.
I think it's a bad movie. No, so here's the thing. I have a theory. There are effective movies and there are good movies. Avatar is not a good movie. It's an effective movie. It was designed in a lab to pander to people's sensibilities without actually meaning anything or doing anything important or telling an interesting story. It's really pretty, and it has just enough like emotional stuff in there that makes you feel like it's deep when really it's not. It's just pandering to your monkey brain. And I'm not trying to say I'm a genius, but I saw it, and I like when I was watching the movie, I felt like I saw through that immediately, and I was like, this movie does not care at all about entertaining me or telling me a story. It just cares about emptying my wallet and looking pretty.
I appreciate
the wrong way.
I appreciate that James Cameron has invested so much money in advancing technology to its absolute finest in CGI, and apparently Avatar 2, they had to make $2 billion, I think, just to break even, and that's insane. Like, I don't think any movie has ever spent that much money in history. Like, I know that, like, I think the next highest movies that I can even think of were like 250 million or 300 million. Like, that's an insane amount of investment. And it was advancements such as like rendering for surface tension in water for on surface and stuff like that, and subsurface scattering. I don't know, just like all this insane amount of advancement, and so I love that. I love that stuff. But he writes terrible movies that have no substance, and he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, the technology is undeniably very impressive. The Avatar movies are very good-looking movies that just have no substance.
Yeah. And he used to kind of care. I don't know why he's getting worse at it.
I mean, I like Titanic. I know that Titanic is a stupid fluff
okay.
movie, but I like Titanic. It didn't blow my mind, but I like it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same way that I like Armageddon. I don't particularly like Michael Bay, but Armageddon's a fun movie. It's kind of fluff, but I like it. It's good stuff, you know?
Yeah. Michael Bay panders to monkey brain too. And
Oh my goodness, so
and
much.
his movies are getting worse too.
Yeah.
What's weird is that he produces great movies. He directs shit movies. I don't know how he does both.
It's the Pokemon syndrome. It's like they know that they're going to make money anyways, and so they're like, why try when I could make something whatever and people will pay me for it either way. We call that the Pokemon conundrum.
He produced A Quiet Place, one of my favorite movies ever made.
Really?
But then he directed Transformers. What is this man?
Wait, Michael Bay did A Quiet Place? He's known for explosions.
He produced it.
I had no idea he was part of
There was
that.
like
I love
no
that
explosions.
movie.
He produces with John Krasinski a lot. Like he does know how to finance great movies. He just doesn't know how to direct them because he's all about explosions and the visuals and nonsense.
Just
but he knows how to
clashing
fill
metal.
seats. He knows how to fill seats, just like James Cameron.
Anyways, I feel like we've started the last few episodes going off on tangents, but it's good. I love tangents. I love stuff. But all that aside, banter. All that aside, I don't remember how we got there. It was the Grapple Dog and Grapple Dogs, and then Alien, and then movies. Anyway, so
You know what? One more thing. If James Cameron happens to get pinched in a submarine explosion or implosion, I wouldn't be so sad. I just had,
it's a weird non sequitur thought to just throw out there.
The thought has crossed my mind many a times. I am sort of on the train of Eat the Rich. I'm on that spectrum right now, and I know that he has a passion for for deep sea submarine diving, and like, you know what, he's an interesting guy, but like I'm tired of his nonsense movies. They're getting worse. I don't need more Avatar movies. I'm done with this nonsense. I don't know why I had to throw that out there.
Yeah. Shan feels really strongly about this, everybody.
Thank you for enlightening us. Anyways.
Well, the submarine pinch was really funny. Remember when that happened?
Yeah.
It was.
We were all amused by it. Let's all just admit it.
That was like a thing that didn't seem like it was real. Like, it was like, let's just go down to the bottom of the ocean in a tin can that we made ourselves. It'll probably be fine. I don't think it'll be fine. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
To the Titanic.
Yeah. Oof. Bad
We
ideas,
we
start
have
to
a
finish.
connection to the Titanic, if you remember, Shan.
Something about the camera.
Yeah, like our dad's half brother, I think, worked on the camera that initially like went down and found the Titanic. Alvin or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't care because we'll never see any of that money, so I don't care about that person.
unless they give you money. Shan
We don't
doesn't
talk
care.
to that side of the
I'm
family,
forever
but-
poor, and so I'm very bitter. All right, go on.
Well, back to Grapple Dog.
Grapple Dog.
I'm very bad at segues, so when it gets off the rails, this is how I take care of it. All right, back to this. So Grapple Dog, we're going to break it down into story, gameplay, and then visuals and sound, as I sometimes always do. So in the story, you play as Pablo, the titular Grapple Dog. Pablo is a very good boy, and he has a grapple hook. There is a kind of a larger story at play here. Basically, hundreds of years ago, there was a great inventor. Evil arose up from the world to keep the evil from being able to take over power. He took the cosmic gears and cosmic gadgets and spread them all across the land, so that the evil couldn't be evil by using the cosmic gadgets. And then in present day, the story begins with Pablo, and evil arises anyways and is trying to collect the cosmic gadgets, and you have to collect them first. It's basically their MacGuffins. It's the story was possibly a little bit too detailed for what I normally like out of a platformer. I just kind of wanted to run and jump, and I felt like the story ever so slightly got in the way sometimes, but it's not a bad story, and I wasn't disengaged. I just would have been fine if there was a little less of it. So
Is it
slight
because there's too
critique
much
there,
dialogue?
a little bit. Most of the dialogue, though, is optional. Like, you can go back, you sail around on a little ship, and you can go back to your ship and talk to your crewmates. So the story really never got in the way. I just didn't feel particularly invested in the larger story outside of, like, get the MacGuffin, stop the bad guy. And the characters, you have some friends on your boat, and they're fun. I like the side characters there. So story on the whole is pretty solid. B plus, I really, found it enjoyable enough to keep me going from level to level. But as is common with most games like this, platformers are very much about the gameplay, and that's pretty much what Grapple Dog is here for. As Pablo, you can run, jump, wall jump, and you can use your grapple hook. You also have like some light attack moves where you can kind of ground pound on enemies and stuff, but really obviously based on the name of the game, the meat of the gameplay here is the grapple hook. So there are certain surfaces that you can grapple onto, and it makes each level seem kind of like there are some puzzle elements to it almost there, where you're trying to find the best way to get from point A to point B. And sometimes there are some very sneaky collectibles hidden throughout the level that you might have to they're hard to get to. You got to figure out the best grapple points to get to them. And the levels can get pretty challenging, especially towards the end. There was a really nice slow difficulty incline that I felt like was just right. Really kind of started you off simple and got more and more complex until the end. You were pulling off some pretty crazy maneuvers with your grapple hook. But the game follows a level-based structure, so there are 6 worlds, and within those worlds there's several levels. And what I liked about this is on the world map, you are in a little boat, and you can sail all around everywhere on your little boat. And it's just a very cute little presentation. But you can also get collectibles within each level, like big collectibles, so that you can, and those will unlock special stages in each world. And then once you complete the game, those gems that you collect, you can also use them to unlock a whole extra bonus world with several more bonus stages that are like the ultra very difficult levels towards the end of it, like after the end game. And so lots of stuff to do. Very, very content rich game, and the levels are not short. They are pretty meaty levels. So there's lots of good stuff to do here, lots of platforming goodness. And they employ one of my favorite design methodologies that Nintendo uses a lot. Where
Chunky line?
Oh, well, no.
I know you like chunky lines.
I do like chunky lines.
What are
We'll get to
chunky
that
lines?
in a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
We'll get there. I've got it written down. Don't you worry. But as far as like a design methodology for like game design, not art design, they do this thing that Nintendo does a lot. That it's if they're introducing a new concept, they introduce it and then they iterate on it and then they test your skills in that thing. And it's a good way to kind of like get you used to doing new things gradually and then testing your skills. So, the
Mario way.
The Mario method of designing levels and introducing new things. And so they do that a lot in this game too, which is very smart design. It makes things feel snappy and like you're never doing the same thing for too long, even though Pablo's moveset doesn't really evolve as the game goes on. The levels do, and how you interact with them and the kinds of enemies and obstacles that you face do. And they're integrated very smartly so that it's easy for you to learn how to interact with them and use them in more complex ways down the line.
Yeah.
So.
The first time you get introduced to a new mechanic, it's always in a safe environment so that you can never die learning it.
Yes,
so
Mario games do that really well. Yeah. So, and I don't remember if they do that a lot here. I think there's definitely a degree to that here. Like, most of the time, if you fall down, you lose some progress in the level. There's not a lot of bottomless pits, and if you do fall in a pit, you lose like one chunk of health, and then you can just kind of try again. And so the penalty's not too steep for falling down. And even if you do run out of all your life, it takes you back to the checkpoint, and the checkpoints are moderately generous, and so you're never losing too much progress. There's no lives, which is great. Lives are stupid, and they have no business in modern games. And so the fact that you can just kind of keep trying if something's hard. Is big fan of that. Gameplay also kind of reminded me just a little bit of Donkey Kong Country. Not exactly sure why. There are some like barrel cannons in some of the levels, like some levels that you're shooting through cannons. I think maybe that's what kind of made it feel Donkey Kong-ish for me.
Yeah. Because they have crates that literally have the explosion icon on it, literally like Donkey Kong Country. Like, that's very evocative of that game, which puts your mind in that headspace. So if anything else is even tangentially related to Donkey Kong Country, your mind's already thinking about it.
There's definitely some light parallels there. And then one more great piece, or a couple more great things about the gameplay, is there are a lot of really great accessibility options. You can, like for example, you can completely change the background colors. Like you can get rid of all of the details in the background and just have it be a solid color, so it's easier for you to see your character and the enemies, which I thought was really cool. You can also give yourself infinite health. You can give yourself infinite jump and things like that. So for players who want to experience the game but are maybe having trouble with a specific spot, they can turn on some of those accessibility options and help get them through that, which I thought was really cool. I actually used that one time, and when I was at the final boss, I got him down to like a sliver of health, and then the game crashed, which was uncommon. I didn't experience any other bugs except for that one time. The game just kind of booted me out. And I was like, well, that's a bummer. And so when I went back to it, I didn't want to do it all over again. And so I turned on the invincibility, and I just kind of breezed through it because I had already done it. So
You didn't turn on one-shot kill?
yeah, well, no, they didn't have that in this one.
Darn
but
it.
So I love when games have accessibility options like that for people who might need those accessibility options because of physical or whatever else limitations they might have, or for people who just might want a slightly easier experience. Like I can turn on the invincibility option and give the controller to my kids, and then they can play without fear of losing progress. So I always think it's great when games include lots of granular accessibility options like that.
I can say that as a website developer, the smaller that you are as a company, the less that you are at risk of being checked or being sued by somebody for not having an accessible website. And so you tend to just not build an accessible website. And so I just wouldn't do it. And so kudos to this person for doing it and having an indie game and still caring about it. But if I had an indie game, I wouldn't have done it. And so I'm just that cynical.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
It'll be fine. Nobody will care. Nobody will check. And this person's more compassionate than I am. I would maybe do it for a website that's public because of SEO would check and would penalize a website. But for a private product, especially at a startup, they would not be able to penalize you because you don't need SEO. So I wouldn't do it, and I often don't. So this person's a better person than me.
Cutting corners wherever you can. Yeah.
I wonder
Exactly.
what motivated
You're just
them.
I'm a single web front end developer. I've got too many things to worry about, so I just wouldn't do it. That's just honesty.
Yeah, applauds for them, for let's see, James Gibbon, I can say his name, for doing that. Accessibility options, always a big fan of that.
And I can say with like 100% absolute that this person did it because he has somebody in his life that he was thinking about. That's just what it is.
Yeah. And whether that be just wanting, maybe he has kids, wants to make the game easier for kids or for family members or friends. I think that's great. Whatever the reason is, always a big fan when they include options like that.
Well, he also did chonky line art, which means that he also exactly like everything about this game tells me that he's thinking about somebody.
So that brings us on to visuals and sound. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is that the art in this game is absolutely delightful. I think that it employs a pixel art style with what Shan is calling chonky lines. They have these big, ultra thick outlines around the characters and the enemies and the different environments and things. And it makes, however thick you think the lines are, it's like double that. There are these very, very thick, chonky lines that do a great job of highlighting the characters and really lend to the art style really well. Everything has also got this nice kind of like flat, basic curve to it. The designs for all the characters are really simple but really bold, and it's an art style that I think works really well for this game. I'm a big fan. I think it looks really, really nice, and it helps the gameplay as well, because when you're bouncing around and moving quickly, you need to be able to quickly and easily see where your character is in these big chunky lines. Make it easy for you to parse that information and know exactly what's going on, even when it's getting hectic.
They look like stickers.
They do look like stickers. That's exactly what it is.
Like
Yeah,
die-cut stickers.
Like pixely stickers. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a really delightful art style. It reminds me a little bit of like Paper Mario, where everything's got kind of like those outlines and it looks like it's a cutout almost. Stickers is exactly what it looks like. That's right. Also the visuals for the different worlds, everything is very varied. None of the worlds look similar to one another. They're all visually distinct and artistically very nice. And then the music was composed by Jazz Mickle, with some tracks also contributed by James Gibbon. So very cool that he composed some tracks as well. And then, but primarily music was composed by Jazz Mickle with great success. I feel like the music is bouncy and fun, and does a good job of complementing the levels and kind of the energetic nature of the game. So, big fan of that as well. We all know that I'm a big fan of indie game soundtracks, and Grapple Dogs is pretty solid. I really enjoy it. All right, any final thoughts about Grapple Dog before I move on to the end of episode information?
No.
No? All right. Well, Grapple Dog will run you about 8 to 15 hours, so it is a little meatier than some of the other games that we cover on here. It's got some decent amount of content in there. Available platforms, you can get it on Switch, Xbox Series, and Windows, and it retails for $14.99, so not a bad deal. This is another one that goes on sale pretty often. I think I grabbed it for like $3. So if you like to wait for sales, do that, but if you want to support the developer, just buy it. He does a great job. It's a super cool game. Check it out.
Well, if you're one of those asinine internet commentators that believes that hours means dollars that you spend on a game, then this will be almost perfect for you.
You have to do that every time you're about to buy a game. You got to do that quick calculus and see if the dollars spent will equal the hours in the game. And I am more of a quality over quantity guy myself. I'd happily pay a higher price for a shorter, more quality experience. But I like shorter games. Sometimes I like when I pick up a game and it takes me 2 hours and then I'm like, that was great. And then I'm just kind of done with it. I'm a big fan of that. Nice little bite-sized games. But I'm also a big fan of games that provide some more content. Grapple Dog is one of those.
I don't really know what my calculus is. I just want... I don't know what I want. Like
Shan just buys good stuff. He's like, this
just buy
looks
the
good.
good stuff.
Here is money. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a vibes person. And so when my vibes for a game has reached the price that I feel is appropriate, then I go for it. And I want to and so if I want to ride the vibes of like people being excited for it, and I feel like the dollar amount has reached that, the price tag on the game is equal to the vibes that are out there for the game, I'm like, yeah, that is equal, and I'll go purchase that game now. And so it's not really about the quality of the graphics or the number of hours in the game. I don't even really look at that. I just... it's a completely different calculus that I don't think I've ever heard anybody consider. I just realize that's what it is for me right now.
It's all about the vibe check.
I don't budget or vibe check at all. I just wait for Shan to lend me his games. Every now and then I'll buy a game, something that I really want. Shan bought me Silent Hill 2 so that we could both simultaneously play it for the podcast. But yeah, like, I don't spend money on games. What are you talking about? I just wait for the
Games cost
trickle
money?
down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just telling
Emerlie is
Go ahead.
living the life of the trope of the poor artist, the
Yeah.
starving artist. I think that's what it's called.
Well, I'm not a starving artist because everything that I make that's artistic, I can eat.
I was going to say,
Baked
you're
goods.
making a bunch of food.
Yeah.
The
She
opposite
gets
of
the
starving.
trickle down scraps of the food that other people buy from her.
Exactly. Doesn't bother me. No shame. No, so this kind of just makes me think of, I was just telling my mom this the other day. I'm like, I just can't justify spending money on movies because I worked at a movie theater, different movie theaters, for a total of about 6 years, and I never paid for movies. I used to sleep school all the time. I would always grab a friend of mine, and we'd always go to see movies. I worked at 24plex for a while, so 24 auditoriums, and there were times where I'd go and I'd be like, I've seen everything in this theater. So anyways, I just aggressively watched a lot of movies for years, and I never had to pay for them. So now, years later, I just never see movies in theaters unless someone pays for me, because I just can't justify spending money on something that in my mind is free, which sucks. Like, I want to support these film studios, but I can't get myself to spend money on movies.
And you don't have money to spend anyway.
Nah.
Well, and now it's like you don't have to go see things in theater unless it's something that you really want to see on the big screen. Like, I was a big fan of Marvel movies when Marvel movies were big. Like, the first, like, up to Endgame,
first 30.
I was like big into Marvel. Like, I was at midnight showings whenever it was available. I was a big fan of superheroes. You can tell all my action. Well, actually, you can't see my superhero shelf very well, but
Yeah.
I have lots of.
That's your
I'm a big
Nintendo
fan
shelf.
of superheroes, and so when Marvel movies were starting to be a big thing, I was like midnight showings. I loved it, and now it's just like, if I wait a month, they're out on Disney Plus, and then if I feel like I want to watch them, I can watch them there. Like,
Yeah.
I don't ever feel the need to go see them in theaters anymore, because I'm like, I'll just wait. I can wait a month. Like,
Yeah. Well, I was in high school when Iron Man, the original one, came out.
so good.
I saw it 5 times the first week it was in theaters. And after the first time, I would always fall
probably did
asleep
too.
at the end, like when they're having the big fight sequence and it was super loud. I just started falling asleep every time. But I just kept finding new people to go see it with. Because I'm like, this Iron Man movie, like, it's incredible. You guys have no idea. And so I'd find new people, and I'm like, we're sloughing school today. Let's go see a movie. I miss the movie experience, the theater experience. But again, I just can't justify the cost.
So, for people that don't live in Utah, sloughing means skipping school.
Oh, I forgot that's a Utah thing. I actually just saw a video on TikTok today that said that was a Utah, it was a video talking about the way that Utahns talk, and
Wonder
they
where that
mentioned
came from.
sloughing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know,
Utahns
it's like
have
the
some
stuff
weird
that's on your
some weird vernacular, I guess, for certain things. Sloughing is one. Yeah.
Sloughing off the responsibility. I don't know.
This
Maybe.
week I went to 2 movies in theaters. I'm trying to push to go to theaters more, so I have to go after my daughter falls asleep, and I think I'm gonna get into that. That's my thing now. But I saw Mission Impossible on the big screen, and it is spectacular. If this is how they end the franchise, they went out on a high, and it was worth it. And then I saw the movie Friendship from the A24 studio with Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd. It is not perfectly written. And the jokes per minute are pretty low. The setups aren't always perfect, and it's not well paced, but it is worth seeing.
It was definitely a movie. Yeah.
It was a movie. For an indie film, it still worked, and I felt like it didn't understand its genre 100% of the time, but as for going to a comedy in theater and laughing with other people, it was worth it. And seeing Tim Robinson do some of his skits on the big screen, it was worth it for that as well. Seeing him shout random things like, "Who are you?" and things like that, like, I bust a gut. This guy is outrageous. And he has some great build-ups at some points in the film that are absolutely worth it.
So go see good movies in theaters. Check out Grapple
Lilo and
Dog.
Stitch, that's my next one, probably this week with my daughter. I hear that one's
I was about to say, you're going to
killing
wait for
it.
her to fall asleep and sneak off to go see Lilo and Stitch.
I
He's
would
gonna
do
go
it.
watch Lilo and
I
Stitch
would
by
do it.
himself. Yeah. No kids allowed.
I have been all the way done with live action Disney for ever since, like, the first one. Like, those movies suck. But Lilo and Stitch, favorite Disney movie. I was willing to see it as soon as I saw that fluffy little monster. I saw the poster for it, because it felt like the same thing as seeing Pikachu rendered in 3D.
Detective
Like they,
Pikachu.
it
I might check out.
felt like they
Lilo
had the
and Stitch as
passion,
well.
you know.
Yeah, I like the animated movie quite a bit. I think there's some good characters in there, but yeah, it's good stuff.
All right.
All right, everybody. I
this-
think that's going to do it for us today.
90% not Grapple Dog.
90% not Grapple Dog, but you should still check out Grapple Dog because it's an excellent game, and it's not our fault that we have a tendency to ramble and talk about other things. So yeah, check us out wherever you find podcasts. You can find us at YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're also on Instagram. Remember to listen to Eric's Indie Corners every Thursday and our regular series every Monday. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
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 Outro. Bleep-a-doof, bleep-a-deep, bloop-a-dee-blow.